Though Venerable Athurali Ratanathero is not here at this moment, let me pay my greatest respects to him, as he is the big cogwheel in this whole operation. Venerable Sirs, Your Excellency the Bishop, and also the President of the Chairman of SEMA, out of the political leaders, Dr. Vikram Karnaratne, members of the Diplomatic Corps, friends, and organic agriculture enthusiasts. It is indeed a pleasure to say a few words in this very important forum. Organic agriculture is nothing new to us. For the last thousands of years, maybe more than 3,000 years in my opinion, we have been practicing organic agriculture. When we were students of agriculture, our professors asked one question from us. It is whether it's possible to feed all the stomachs by practicing organic agriculture in the world. But all those teachers and professors were bent towards chemical agriculture. I came out with one answer. During the time of King Parakramabahu the Great, we had supposed to have had 80 million people as our population. Today we have 20 million. And King Parakramabahu was able to feed all the stomachs of these 80 million people. And they were happy. They were not hungry. That's why they were able to build so many big man-made tanks as water reservoirs. And also, the excess production of rice and other food crops were exported. We didn't have containers, we didn't have lorries, yet all these produce were brought closer to the Parakrama Samudra, the biggest tank, man-made tank in Polonnaru. And these produce were loaded into big boats. And the boats sailed along the Kalinga Canal up to Trincomalee. And from Trincomalee, it was exported, as King Parakramabahu the Great had a fleet of ships during his time. Friends, how did we get into this chemical agriculture? Sir, our Honorable Speaker couldn't address you before. After the Second World War, the people who were producing war weaponry and chemicals were thinking how to make the best use of these. Now, once the war was over, ammonium nitrate was used as an explosive to make bombs. Then the agricultural scientists, or so-called agricultural scientists, suggested that ammonium nitrate could be used as a nitrogenous fertilizer on crops. Later, they found it is better to have ammonium sulfate. They brought ammonium sulfate into operation, and finally urea. Then DDT, dichlorodimethyl trichloroethane, DDT, which was banned thanks to Rachel Carson, the American lady who wrote the book called Silent Spring. She kept on lobbying, and due to that, we were able to ban DDT in the entire world, of course, latterly in Sri Lanka. DDT was originally used to control bugs, mosquitoes, and other insects in the garrisons of these the soldiers who were involved in war. Finally, after the Second World War was over, they were wondering, what can we do with this DDT? Then they said, this is a good insect repellent, or an insect killer, rather, to use on crops. And that's how we started using DDT. Later, as my good friend Dr. Ranil Seranaki, has been my friend for the last 30 years, I believe, said, Norman Borlaug of Davis University, California, came out with this green revolution idea. And he bred varieties, cereals and at times legumes, which has the highest responsiveness to artificial fertilizers and agrochemicals. So the farmers were unable to grow these new bred varieties or the hybrids without agrochemicals and chemical fertilizers. We got into the snare. We got into the trap. The Department of Agriculture, then Department of Agriculture, promoted this. Agrochemical companies came forward. They distributed chemicals free of charge. They had the demonstration plots all over the country. On farms where the village farmers own, and they had the demonstration plots. And they convinced our people that agrochemicals and chemical fertilizers are required for agriculture. Friends, let me ask one question. Who fertilized these big jack trees, mango trees in our villages? Has anyone fertilized? Cashew trees? No. But we have bountiful harvests every year. Those are organic by default. The soil microbes do the job. Mycorrhiza. They are attached to the root zone, the rhizosphere of the plant. And they do the job. They release all the nutrients to the plants. By adding chemical fertilizers and agrochemicals to the fields, you kill all these beneficial microflora and fauna, fungi, etc., etc. Now, we have realized the mistake. Before we realized this mistake, the Western world realized it. And they started going into agriculture, organic agriculture. A gentleman by the name of Albert Howard came to India as an administrator right after the war, Second World War. He observed how Indians used to cultivate their crops. The sons of the soil, Indians, they cultivated without using any agrochemicals or any chemical fertilizers. He studied this, went back to his country. He developed this as organic agriculture. That's why even today we are calling this organic agriculture. Rudolf Steiner, he brought a new concept in organic agriculture called biodynamic farming. The bladder of the red deer was taken, yarrow flowers were filled into that, buried it over the winter, took it during the spring and crushed it, mixed with water and sprayed on plants to protect the plants from various pests and diseases. Traditionally, we have been using Pirit pen. After chanting Sabba Papasa Akaranam Gata for 108 times, the Pirit pen was sprayed upon the crops and it answered. I'm not going to take much of your time, but organic agriculture is the answer for the world today. We all go to doctors, spend lots and lots of money, venerable sirs, for our medicines. You calculate the national medical bill or the large medical bill of the nation, it is enormous. It is purely due to these agricultural agrochemicals and chemical fertilizers. And there's a very serious thing happening, Honorable Speaker. That is the infertility among human beings. The highest level of agrochemicals are being used in the north, and the second highest is the district of Nuwara. Infertility rate among human beings in the north, especially in Jaffna, is really alarming. Out of 5 newly married couples, 4 cannot have babies. They go to various temples, devalas, and for medical treatment to India, yet they have no salvation. In the rest of the country, out of every 5 newly wedded couples, 3 couples cannot have infants. Aren't we destroying our culture? Aren't we destroying our nation? Aren't we destroying our heritage? We have to be very careful. In fact, I'm extremely happy that Venerable Athuraliya Ratana has played the lead role, along with Mr. Abe Gunawardena and the others, to formulate a policy, organic agriculture policy for the country. His Excellency the President has taken this matter up very well, and he and the Honorable Prime Minister, they have accepted this as the national agricultural part of the national agricultural policy, which we couldn't do it for years and years. Now we understand the importance of reducing the medical bill of the nation. To reduce the medical bill of the nation, it is nothing but we have to supply clean food to the people, to the nation. United States of America, United Kingdom, England, so many Scandinavian countries, Germany, they are very much concerned about this clean food. We are coming across another problem. Indiscriminately, we are fertilizing and spraying chemicals on our tea. Dr. Anil Sen Naik, a chemical residue problem is in the pipeline. The day that international tea buyers refuse to take our chemically contaminated tea, we are finished. Even rubber, though it is an industrial crop, now organic rubber is getting the focus. So if it is so for an industrial crop, what about what you and I eat? Now, in the North Central province, for the last 1.5 to 2 decades, everyone was talking about this CKDU, chronic kidney disease. U is for what? Unknown etiology. That is all bunkum. Pardon me for my bad language. It is not of unknown etiology, it is known. The research work has been conducted by my guru at Peradeniya. I did my PhD under him, Professor Sanat Bandara. And also the famous rhinologist, Dr. Tilak Kabesekar. They did the research work. They found a chemical fertilizer that we use, concentrated triple super phosphate, has cadmium, the heavy metal, as a chemical contaminant. And this affects the kidneys. This cadmium gets into the food chain, get into the stomachs of tilapia fish. We catch them and eat, get into lotus root. We cook and eat that. We drink water of the Weber or the man-made tank, which is contaminated with cadmium, and we know what is going on. Now it is the time to bring all these things to a halt, to a grinding halt, to save the nation and the country, and also to take this message to the rest of the countries in the world. I think all of us will have to be very active. Let it be in the temple, let it be in the church, in the mosque or the kovil. This should be preached along with the sermons of different religious groups to save the nation, and finally to give this model to the other countries as well. And one more thing, that is whether organic agriculture is profitable. Is there a crop loss? Let me say, during the first 3 years, you may see a slight drop in the yield, but thereafter it recovers. Once all the soil fauna and flora become active, the crop levels would be very high. It is as high as the crop that we get from chemical fertilizer, chemical agriculture. Not only that, how about the input cost? When you work out your farm economics, You will see, we have spent this much on agricultural fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, this much on agrochemicals, this much on hormones to the poultry. Now, when someone rears backyard chicken, rear cattle on organic basis, grow crops on organic basis, these input costs are not there. Economists like Dr. Jayavira should work it out. I think organic farming is very, very profitable. And burnt out youth in the world due to drug abuse or whatever the reason it may be, they could be rehabilitated along with organic agriculture. Because organic agriculture is a philosophy. When you practice organic agriculture, the entire farm is considered as one organism. The farmer, farmer's wife, farmer's children, your water ditch, your animals, all this you consider as one organism. And with compassion, love, affection, that you look after all these units. Finally, if we are to overcome this menace, if we are to overcome this problem of having so many cancer patients increasing every year, kidney problems and other diseases, blue babies, the incidence of blue babies in Kalpitiya is due to nitrates and nitrites in drinking water and in the soil. So we have to look into all these things. I'm very glad that His Excellency the President, Honorable Prime Minister, has taken up this matter in a very serious manner and included it in the national policy. And again, my thanks to Venerable Athuraliya Ratanathero and all the others who worked very hard in this team. Untiring work of theirs have brought new light in our agricultural economy, and it has done so much to our country. Thank you very much.